Yep, great win. Our 20th win of the season. It started with David Hagan setting the tone, went 4 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, a freshman that's really coming in to his own. He's been fantastic all year, 2.25 ERA, but it's always fun when you can trot out a freshman in a big rivalry game, and for him to set the tone was wonderful. Tyler Hudson got back on the horse after Sunday's loss against Arizona. He gave up a big home run. Obviously, he was disappointed with that, but we trust him. He got right back on the horse, went 2 innings, 2 hits, no runs. So it was really fun to see what he did. Got Stifler, Porco, Yoke, McDougal in the game. They were all excellent. Yoke had a little bit of trouble last time he was out, throwing strikes, made an adjustment. So I was really proud of what Yoke did. He came out. We just wanted him to get right, and he was 96 in the zone. So he's prepared to go into the weekend for us. Sam White and Logan were obviously out, two of our leaders and best position players on our team, but we've talked about the depth of our team, and Barnett and Guzman entered the lineup, and they were both really good today. I was proud of Guzman. He was 2 for 4. He stayed on a changeup, which he had trouble with before, had an RBI off of a changeup, and then showed his bunt skill, left on left, left-handed pitcher on the mound, bunted and was safe late in the game, and so he's evolving to becoming a ball player and not just an athlete. So really fired up about what he did. And Spencer, I believe, drew two walks, and that's what that guy does. He's a quality at bat most of the time. So he slipped into Sam White's spot at second base. So overall, really good team win. It's always good to beat the herd, and it's an important game to the state and to our program.
Any updates on Sam?
Logan. Inflammation of the shoulder. He just landed on his shoulder sliding, had his inflammation, so we're pretty hopeful that he's going to be able to return at some point this weekend. Sam White, more pain. He dislocated his shoulder, and so I think with that just comes more time. So not a doctor, don't know exactly what that means, but probably a longer time frame for Sam White. I would imagine not ready this weekend, begin more physical therapy, treatment, that kind of stuff.
Does Hagan do so well that some freshmen can't get done that quickly?
It's just composure. He's a strike thrower. Him and Ben Hudson have probably been our best freshman strike throwers, but it's really composure and handling the moment is what makes him so special. So we have pitchers on this team that have as much arm talent, but when you go to the mound, just being able to stay cool and calm and be the same guy, whether the base is loaded or nobody on, or to start the game or relieve the game. So really the mindset is the biggest difference for David.
You mentioned several of your pitchers, that they have your trust. You're not always successful out there, so what do they do to earn your trust? What are some of the things they show that get them to that status?
Yeah, it begins in the fall, and it begins with every decision that they make, and it's if they show up on time and they go to their tutor appointments and they bring energy every day at practice, and after a bad outing, do they come back and answer? Are they a good teammate? Do they root for other people? Do they get outs? Do they throw strikes? Do they elevate in big situations, or do they fold? Do they answer the call when the team needs them? Do they always say that they're ready to pitch, or do you always have to worry about if they're banged up or sore or tender? So I think there's just certain mentalities with certain players, and I think for the most part we have an incredible team, and everybody's working to go that direction, and not everybody's the same player. So like trust is a great thing to have and to earn, but everybody's on different scales. So some of the most talented players, if they had everything figured out, they're probably pitching for the Phillies, not the Mountaineers right now. Whereas some of the maybe the less talented guys, they really have that mental side figured out, and they're developing their stuff so that they can go on and play professional baseball. So in college, you always sliding scale of that character, trust, talent. It's usually you don't always have it all, or you might be playing pro ball out of high school.
Talk a little bit about the adjustment that you worked with Joe to get him to throw more strikes.
Yeah, me 0. Coach Oni and Coach Riley, he's been great. It's just he's like it's kind of like a Lamborghini. He's fine-tuned when you throw 97. Like your body's really working together. If you're a Lamborghini, like one thing off, I'm sure doesn't allow that car to work. And so his slot had climbed a little bit, and he was stepping so far across his body, so his lead foot was landing so far in front of his back foot that he couldn't stay through pitches. And so I think it probably started with the lower half, the front foot being so far across the backside that it forced for his slot to rise a little bit, and that didn't allow his arm to sync up on time to throw strikes, essentially. So they made an adjustment. They watched film. They made an adjustment. That's why I was so fired up for Yoke, because for a young guy to not have success and not go like haywire on confidence or, not believing that he could do it, make an adjustment, and then be great the next outing, it's pretty rare. Like sometimes guys go in holes for a while and they reemerge a month later. And so for him to be able to take like one throwing session yesterday into a game and do it was very encouraging. He's special. He was the dude at Oklahoma State with bases loaded. He came in the game against Nolan Schubert. He was the preseason player of the year in the Big 12 and got a huge strikeout. And it was 3 fastballs for a strikeout. We go on to win the game at Oklahoma State, but it was a freshman versus the player of the year preseason, and he blew him away. And so it was like the talent is pretty extreme for that kid. It's off the charts. He's capable of a lot, and there's a little bit of maintenance with the Ferrari as you go.
Anything else? Gavin Kelly's been great this year, coming as a freshman. Like, Logan Salve has been injured for the past couple of games. He just stepped in and has immediately really replicated the production. Like, how important has it just been to have a young guy come in like that?
Insane. The guy is a really, really good player. Freshman hitting 321, playing left field, and you put him behind the plate, and he's picked off 2 guys and thrown out 3 runners in 3 games, I think. So he's alone responsible for 5 outs, sitting in the middle of the order and stealing bases. Like, it is a special talent. And the best thing that you could say about a catcher and umpire is basically that you don't notice him, and that's how Gavin Kelly's been, right? It's just like you only notice him when he throws somebody out at second or first, but he's not jogging back to the backstop, chasing balls. He's blocking. What he has done is exceptional. It's unique. It's game-changing. We have arguably our 2 best players out and win a game. Like, that's a big deal. So he's a big reason why, and he will be here and he'll play a lot, and he'll have a really good career here if he stays healthy and keeps going.
Is that something you expect for the younger catchers, that opposing base runners are going to try to test them right away?
Absolutely. Yep. And I think now when you go into series, like, all they need to do is, like, there's probably been, I don't know what his stats are, but yeah, if you do a scouting report and you watch Gavin Kelly, it'll say, like, it's going to be really hard to run on. And so within 2 weeks of catching more, he's basically established, like, you can't run on the guy because it's really good arm strength and good transfer and pop times. And so they tested him early and they found out.
You mentioned the 2 late bunts. Was that as much because those 2 players had a little bit of trouble recently and, hey, get them some success in getting one down in a game?
Yeah, with Guzman, I didn't call that, so I was even more fired up. I don't usually call anything to lead off innings. I don't give signs just because I really want the players to take ownership of their game. Like, Guzman, you are the fastest guy on the planet and hit left-handed, and there's a left-handed pitcher, and you've struggled more against that. Like, you tell me, man, like, maybe lay down a bunt. And we talk about it all the time. So I was fired up. I ran over when they made a pitching change and chest bumped him and was like, are you trying to be a ball player? Are you trying to stay in the lineup against left-handed pitching, right? Because it's, like, up to you. Like, you want to figure it out, find a way to get on base. You're in there more. But right now we haven't played him against lefties a ton because he hasn't been as successful. So find a way to be successful, and that's what he did. So I was fired up for him. Cresser, I called that bunt. They brought in a freshman with a really good arm. And Cresser, he barreled up a ball to deep left center that got caught diving play today, but he hasn't been on the barrel as much in the last 3 or 4 days. Also, when you play every day, you break your nose, you get hit in the head the next day. The guy's body's been under a ton of stress, so he thinks, he's unbreakable and can keep rolling and everything, but like he needs rest, he needs to recover. He's gotten his ass kicked. We're asking him to steal bases, and so I think that's probably part of it. But laid a bunt down there just to try to do something positive, like contribute to the offense, get something going. He laid down a beautiful bunt, and the freshman for Marshall made like an incredible play. His cat-like reflexes, really, really good play. So that one was called, but yep, Guzman bunted on his own.
Back to Gavin. When he's on the bases, do you tell him, to just take off at times? There was that time where he had that early steal and he just took off to second, or is that something that you call, or is that his just IQ?
Yeah, that was called. That one just working on timing steals and what we thought was a good time to be able to steal. So scouting report plus instincts, because it's one thing to have an idea of what you're trying to do on the bases, and then to be able to like coach it and then have a player implement it in game are two very different things. And so a lot of times you'll do work and coach off things and guys can't do it. So IQ is certainly a piece of it, and he's doing great with that.
Coach, waiting up this game, obviously being the first game against the in-state rival Marshall, were the guys a little bit more amped up, and how good does it feel to get the first win of the series?
It was great. We play a 3-game series, and so we didn't talk about it. We haven't talked about the importance of a game all season, so I didn't want to start. But I know they know that this is an important game. They're all important. Every game really matters. But I didn't want to do something outside of ourselves. It's like, well, is Arizona important? Of course, it's in the Big 12. Is Oklahoma State? Damn right. If you play a lesser opponent in a midweek game, not referring to Marshall, but if you were to play a team that hadn't been good and you lose to them, it can be super costly for your playoff ramifications or NCAA tournament and that kind of thing. So every game is super important. So I just kind of made the decision early on. I'm not going to amp up games. I'm not going to talk about the importance. Sometimes you can get a feel that guys are maybe looking ahead or resting or thinking that this won't be a game. So you can try to really hammer home the fact that everything's important, but that's a little bit more my philosophy.
Good. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks, guys.